Yo, what is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. I am so excited to let you guys know that my moment lesson is now live. This is a moment, haha, no pun intended, that I have been so stoked for you guys to see. First off, I was just incredibly just blown away that Moment even invited me to do a lesson. I remember watching all of my friends do one and just being so stoked on it, because as a photographer, it's an incredibly just kind of humbling and exciting opportunity to be followed around by filmmakers of the caliber of some of the guys that work at Moment. And so when they invited me out and said they would like to make it happen, I of course said yes. They said, hey, we want to do an entire lesson or workshop that's completely devoted to shooting landscapes or travel work, specifically on film. So that is what this entire lesson is about. We hit multiple locations throughout Central California: sunrise, sunset. We shoot a bit during the day in harsh light. I go through my editing techniques in Lightroom for you guys, live editing photos at sunrise, at sunset, in harsh light. And so this whole entire lesson is about my process from start to finish of shooting landscapes, specifically on film. So you guys will get to see the highs, the lows. There were some photos in the editing session that I messed up. You'll get to see how I meter for all of these different types of. So if you're new to shooting landscapes on film, if you're a little bit more seasoned like me, I do believe there will be something in it for everybody. Or if you're especially looking to start shooting film, if you're a little bit more new, I think this lesson definitely is for you as well. The link to the lesson will be down below, and so I hope you guys are able to pick it up. And just want to say in advance, for anybody that does pick it up, it means so much, and thank you in advance to you guys for picking it up and supporting me. This will keep the gas in my tank and some money laying around so I can continue to shoot for you guys and make more YouTube videos and keep my lights on. So thank you if you do decide to pick it up. And one last shout out to Moment and Niles and Mike for coming along and putting this together for you guys. So yep, hope you guys enjoy this little portion of one of the sections. So yeah, see you guys around, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
I'm just wanting to kind of be in the middle of all of this, and I'm kind of making a bet that I think it's going to open up. I'm pretty open about the fact that I don't mind hitting the classic spots that you would see on Instagram all day, but for a place like this, I would rather take the risk and try and get something different. Like I said, even if we don't take a photo, we'll walk up to show you guys that view. I'll probably take a photo, but it is a really cool view. But I think there's a lot of better stuff to be had if we can kind of be in the actual mix down here. And like last night, for one of the lessons that you've seen or you're going to see, we went for a big vantage point, and I think a lot of times in landscape, you are going for the big vantage point. So it's good to mix it up sometimes. And for some reason, I just feel like from some stuff that I've researched and seen that we can kind of get in the middle of all this. So I'm kind of playing a hunch and hoping that I remember correctly.
Kind of dorky, but sun sets in the west, rises in the east. So I'm just looking for where the sun will be coming up. So it kind of lets me know what the light's going to be hitting. So if the sun is coming up in the east, I don't really want to be shooting into the sun. I want to be shooting at what the sun is hitting. So I kind of know as we start walking this trail here in a second, I now have a general idea of where the sun's going to be coming up. So I know, if me, Niles, and Mike just kind of keep walking this general direction, that everything in front of me, the sun should be hitting when it comes up. So it's just kind of always good to have that in the back of your mind.
So this is kind of what I was banking on. One of the homies can turn the camera up there. You can see kind of that's still near the original lookout. So I'm sure there would be really good photos to be had, but like now we're kind of eye level with these ridges and we're gonna be able to walk down and get closer. And I shoot really wide, so it feels like it's hard to get that, but now I'm like up next to these ridges. This is a Pentax digital spot meter. It's way too expensive, so I would suggest if you're starting out to get a cheaper spot meter, but this is allowing me to point at an exact spot in the scene and then get a reading. I would not be measuring for the sky right now, so I'm just kind of pointing around here at the, I'm not great with colors, but like the greenish yellow ridges that I'm staring directly at. They're still reading for, even on Portrait 800, which is what I'm shooting, they're still reading for like 1/25th shutter speed and like f2, which my camera's not really capable of. So it's still quite dark. We still have about 15 minutes till the sun comes up, but I'm really happy with the decision we made. So when the sun comes up, we'll start moving around this area. So my gear setup is kind of the same thing. I've been rocking the whole workshop, and probably what I'll continue to is my Mamiya 7.2 with a 65 millimeter. So it's not a true 28, but it's close enough. So just think very wide. And then I have my Nikon F3 with a 50 millimeter. So I have something that's really kind of cropped in, compressed, like a long focal length. And then I have something wide. That's why I chose this for the workshop, to kind of show you guys like it's good to have, both options. And then something too, like I wanted to point out, is I know maybe you're not in a place yet where like you can afford a Mamiya 7.2, but the key to my style, and if you like the photos that I take, is just to have a wide lens, because you're gonna see, I'm always looking for negative space at the top of my frame. They're just very like calm. I want the photos to, kind of say something for themselves. I don't want a lot going on. And so, you can start out with any camera with a 28 millimeter lens or something wide. But I did kind of want to make the note that if you like my photos or you enjoy them and you want to kind of try that style, you're not going to be able to do that with a 50 millimeter lens. I bring this along, to shoot other stuff, but if it's like photos you've seen of mine from Instagram or the internet or wherever, most of it's going to be wider stuff. So I have a 50 millimeter, but most of what I'll be going for today is you need a wide lens for these kind of things. So the film stocks that I have, unfortunately, I still have Kodak Gold 200 in this, and I only have about 6 frames, so we'll see how much I get to, rip off from the Nikon. 200 speed film is like not a big deal, but it's not ideal for early morning, so I'll definitely have to wait until the light gets ripping a bit to kind of take my frames on here. And then we have Portrait 800 in the big boy. I'll probably reference it throughout the workshop. I know Portrait 800 kind of stings the wallet, but these are the moments of why you pay the extra $10 or $15 a pack, just to get a little bit faster of speed so that you can get a little bit more wiggle room with your settings. Especially for me, or maybe if you have a medium format camera, the lowest aperture I have is f4, and a lot of us are used to being able to go down to a 2.8 or an f2. And so with f4 is my bottom, and I don't really like shooting my shutter speed below 1/25th personally, because I've got shaky hands. The 800 ISO really helps out in situations like this. So we buy Portrait 800 and we kind of save it throughout the year for moments like this in the early morning. So my camera was telling the truth. Basically, I look through this spot meter, it puts a little number, and then I go up here and switch the number to whatever it's saying in here. And so it is telling me that for 800 ISO, I could be hitting that ridge at f4 1/25th, which is something I'm comfortable with. But I don't know. I don't really want to see the flat light right now. I want to make sure that I have all the frames that I can possibly have when the light comes over these mountains in a second. So I love this composition of the ridge and all of the sky that I'm going to have, but I don't necessarily know if I want like this little hump and these little things in the bottom. And right now, from where I'm standing, well, I maybe would like that, but I'm going to go down and see what all this looks like from a lower perspective at the end of this little hump, and then I'll decide where I want to go. So when I'm shooting, you know, I feel like I just, you know, always say this, but I really prefer the light to be on it. And right now, you know, we technically don't have any light on the scene, but we do have, you know, I'm not great with colors, but I think that would be a pink or a purplish hue at the ridges way in the background. So here you're gonna see like I'm gonna have these layers in my foreground, and then I'm gonna have another layer that's kind of the brown ridges, and then I'll have that final layer in the back. And so although I really wanted to save all 10 frames of the first roll for the light when it's gonna be like the best here in a second, I'm gonna take a photo of this just because the pink and the purple out there is just kind of too good to pass up. So we're gonna open the floodgates for the morning and let this one fly. So right now is kind of like a moment where it's really easy to get antsy because we just keep looking at like all these little paths, and we want to get in there and I want to get in there, but I just want to get this one shot right when the sun comes up, because you know I've got lines coming down here, lines here, then I've got lines coming down back there. It's just everywhere. There's so much going on here, but you know, if you're shooting with a longer focal length, you're gonna get so much of that in the frame, but because I'm shooting wide, I'm gonna have all of this going on in the bottom of the frame, and then the top is still gonna be open. So I'm gonna have like madness going on in the foreground, and then it's gonna get really clean up top. So I wanna get out there, but I want to take this shot first when the sun comes up, so I'm committing, even though I wanna start walking. So just because I'm getting antsy and I want to take a shot, and 35mm kind of allows me to take more. And then what's awesome about this is that, you know, the light may not be hitting down here yet, but it's clearly on the furthest ridges in the back. And so this is where the 50mm lens or something more like compressed does come in. So like I referenced a moment ago, Kodak Gold 200 is not ideal, but so I'm gonna see what the light is reading for in here for 200 and let one fly. A little bit brighter than I thought. I'm gonna be shooting this at 2.8/125, so just gonna do infinity focus, so just gonna grab focus on the furthest ridge. Shoot that. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 22, 23, 24. Oh, there's more over there. That's a cool shot, like the silhouettes walking up. So now I'm starting to get nervous because, not actually nervous, I know like it's still gonna be good, but this is like just my thought process letting you guys in is now, you know, we have like a decent amount of blue in the sky because the sun, you know, technically has been up for a minute. It's just that the sun has not poured into this valley because there's mountain ridges way back there blocking them. So now I'm starting to think, you know, when the sun does come, is there kind of gonna already be too much blue in the sky? Is it not gonna be as soft? So now I'm kind of thinking like, hey, maybe I should take some photos of this while the light is technically up and it's like just really soft right here. So I just took this photo a moment ago, so you're gonna see the difference between the photos, you know, probably 10 or 15 minutes. And I'm a lot more confident in this scene right now, even though we still technically don't have light on any of my foreground. But I'm just starting to think like, when I get these scans back, because I don't have digital and I can't just be ripping like as much as I want right now, will I wish I would have taken kind of a shot in this time frame? And I think I will. I think I would be kind of upset if I didn't because the colors are really nice right now. And so, but this is the game we play because I've only got 9 shots left. So I'm having to constantly be thinking about, you know, do I really want to take this shot? But yeah, I am going to take another one right here, right now. Kind of the exact same composition, or very similar at least. A little bit different settings I'm able to get though. So And why I'm feeling that way is because although we're not in the light, you can just see all of the light out there. And so that's like a really in-depth thought, but that's a good gauge because we came here to shoot sunrise and we're not seeing sunrise yet, but you know that the sun is firing because it's just a reminder there of like the game's already begun, even if it hasn't started down here. And so that just kind of plays with your mind a little bit. Yeah. And I'm really wondering if I just like want to go up on this ridge right now, but I've already waited so long here. I'm wondering if I should just sacrifice kind of the idea I had here and then try and hit it on the way back. It's just constantly looking at that. It's just like the biggest tease for me right now because that's what we're here for, is soft light on ridges. I've decided, after much thought and consideration, we're just gonna go ahead and like start walking closer to the light that we see, even though technically it's very far away. But there's some trails and there's enough light to where I can shoot, even if it's flat, you know, in certain parts of the image. And yeah, I'm just getting antsy. And so I don't wanna wait here when I could at least be trying to make something happen. And that's like a good thought, you know, like if we go this way and I still don't find what I want, I can live with that because we tried to make something happen. But what I can't live with is like if we just sat here for another 20 minutes and then nothing happened, because then you would always be like, I wish I would have at least gone a little bit further. So we're gonna go a little bit further. So I just really love that shot because the sign, obviously we have all the landscape stuff, the layers, things that I normally like, but having the sign there is really cool. So I just put the sign in like the center of the bottom of the frame, just gives a little context, like we're on a trail, etc. So gotta keep moving though. I'm just gonna make a judgment call. The light's coming over the ridge now and it's like, we've got this and then we've got this. I could be wrong. We're at a spot called Zabriskie Point, by the way. I don't know if I referenced at the beginning of this lesson, but I believe that big jagged ridge is actually Zabriskie itself. I could be wrong. Either way, it looks cool. I'm gonna take this path around and try and get that way as opposed to over here. Another practical thing is there's just like people over here enjoying it, and like, you know, we're here for photos, but at the same time, like you want to be considerate. And I naturally in my nature, I just feel more comfortable being alone. So like a lot of factors going into this, but I think I would like this spot for a lot of reasons, and we'll let those people enjoy their morning. So let's go see what we can find over here. It's my favorite shot I've taken so far from a composition perspective. We'll see how the colors turn out, but I mean, for me, that's perfect, about as good as it gets. And the light's finally just hitting right in the dead center up there at the top, you can see. So, this is what we've really been waiting for this whole time. You've kind of been here for the whole journey. There's a ton of people up at the viewpoint now, but the light, we've been looking at this whole area this whole time. The light has just finally started to hit this. So in a minute, it'll begin to pour over all of this, and we'll see if we can get some stuff that we like.